Hello, fellow Wolverines, and welcome back to Wolf TV SportsCenter. My name is Gabby Miller.
And I'm Audrey Setnar. In this week's episode, we'll break down men's basketball routes over Penn State and Ohio State, women's basketball games against Nebraska and UCLA, men's hockey series against Michigan State, men's gymnastics match against Illinois, women's gymnastics match against Ohio State, and men's tennis matches against Columbia and Tennessee.
The Michigan men's basketball team absolutely destroyed the Penn State Nittany Lions, winning 110-69 on Thursday, February 5th. The star of the show was Namari Burnett, who put up 31 points, including 7 three-pointers. Trey McKinney and LJ Kaysen each had 12 points, and Adai Mara was the final double-point scorer of the night with 11 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 blocks.
On Sunday, February 8th, the real game of the day went down in Columbus as the men's basketball team took on Ohio State at the Schottenstein Center, defeating them 82-61. It was a day for the big men as Adai Mara went off, scoring 24 points, including his first 2 career three-pointers. Morris Johnson Jr. posted 12 points and 12 rebounds, and Yaxel Lendeborg warmed up in Roddy Gale's jersey, which clearly worked as he put up a Gale-esque stat line of 14 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 assists. Michigan now heads to Evanston for a matchup against the Northwestern Wildcats on Wednesday, February 11th. Then they return home to welcome UCLA to the Chrysler Center on Saturday, February 14th.
On the women's side, the 8th-ranked Michigan basketball had its sights set on a top 10 showdown at home over the weekend.
In only the second ever top 10 women's basketball matchup to be played at the Chrysler Center, Michigan hosted number 2 UCLA. U of M came in searching for its trademark win of the season and its first win over a top 4 team under head coach KBA.
The Wolverines came out hot in front of an anxious Chrysler crowd. Sophomore Mila Holloway paced Michigan early, contributing 7 of its 17 first-quarter points. Michigan's defense stepped up as well, holding UCLA to just 2 makes on 10 attempts from the floor through the first frame. Going into the second, U of M led by 4. The squads went back and forth with no team leading by more than 6 points. A Brooke Quarles-Daniels 3-point play under a minute to go made it a 1-scoring game going into the half.
The third quarter is where things started to fall apart for the Wolverines. UCLA took a 13-point lead with under 2 minutes to go, and it looked like Michigan may be outmatched. But sophomore Tayala Del Foss hit a jumper with time expiring to bring it back to single digits entering the fourth. Michigan traded buckets with UCLA to start the quarter, keeping itself within striking distance. With just over a minute to play, Mila Holloway got fouled on a 3-pointer, and the Wolverines saw their chance. The standout guard made all 3 free throws to cut it to a 6-point deficit. Then fellow sophomores Olivia Olson and Silas Swords drained back-to-back threes to make it a 1-score game. Michigan was forced to foul with under 15 seconds to play, and a rowdy Chrysler atmosphere caused the Bruins to miss both shots at the line. With just 2 seconds to play, Swords put up a game-tying 3, but was off the mark as UCLA won 69-66 to make it to the 17th straight game.
This past weekend, Michigan hockey wrapped up the biggest series of the regular season against in-state rival number 2 Michigan State, ending it with both a series and season split. The opener took place on Friday, February 6th at Yost, before taking the showdown to Little Caesars Arena in Detroit the next day for Duel in the D. Friday night was a battle that resulted in Michigan surmounting a 3-1 deficit, coming back to win it in overtime thanks to a beautiful one-timer from Jaden Perron that caused the stadium microphones to malfunction.
Power play. Page backdoor.
Also contributing to the win were Nick Moldenhauer, Asher Barnett, and Keenan Draper, each with goals of their own. Saturday's Duel in the D was an entirely different game, with the Spartans jumping out in front and never looking back. They struck twice in the first period and added 2 more goals to build a commanding 4-0 lead. Perron and Moldenhauer tried to kickstart the comeback with a goal each, but an empty netter late in the third period sealed the 5-2 win for MSU. This game also marked the shocking return of star goalie Jack Ivankovic, who hadn't played since January 10th, in which he made 32 out of 37 saves.
The number 4 ranked University of Michigan men's gymnastics team earned a dominant win over number 7 Illinois on Saturday, February 7th. The men traveled to Champaign for the team's Big Ten opener, beating the Fighting Illini 318.55 to 306.7 in Huff Hall. While the meet was tight through the first rotation, a narrow half-point lead after 2 events exploded into a Michigan landslide as big scores on the pommel horse allowed the Maize and Blue to take a 5-point lead at the halfway point. From there, it was a Fred Richard takeover as the former Olympic bronze medalist took home 3 event titles, winning the pommel horse, still rings, and parallel bars outright. Freshman Adam Lacombe also stood out, scoring career highs on floor exercise and vault. Looking ahead, the Wolverines will return to Ann Arbor to host Springfield and Arizona State in a 3-team meet in Cliff King Arena next Saturday, February 14th.
The number 8 ranked University of Michigan women's gymnastics team faced off against number 19 Ohio State on Saturday, February 7th, and defeated the Buckeyes on their home floor 197.375 to 197.075. The always close rivalry matchup was decided on the balance beam, where the Wolverines used a phenomenal score of 49.600, the 3rd highest in program history, to cement their lead over the Buckeyes in the final rotation. Michigan earned a share of all 4 individual event titles, with Sophia Diaz taking the vault title and Sophie Parenti earning the uneven bars title with a career-best 9.900. Kaylee Boozer and Carly Bauman led Michigan's dominant effort on beam, with Bauman also notching the floor title. However, competition will not get any easier for the Wolverines, as next week they will face one of their toughest opponents of the year when they travel to Los Angeles, California to take on number 5 ranked UCLA this Saturday, February 14th.
The Michigan men's tennis team split this weekend, gaining a 1-0 lead before being reverse swept, dropping the first game to number 12 Columbia 3-4 on Saturday, February 7th. They then rebounded the next day on Sunday, February 8th against Tennessee, winning 4-3. Mer Oro clinched the game against the Volunteers in singles with a 3rd set victory.
All right, Wolf TV SportsCenter fans, you know it and you love it. It's time for Top Plays of the Week.
For our first play, let's start with Adai Mara. He knocked down his first 2 career threes against OSU, and he also reached a career-high points. And let's all send a big congratulations to Olivia Olson. She reached 1,000 career points against UCLA.
And over to men's hockey, we have to give a shout out to Jaden Perron for his overtime winner in the first game of the series against MSU. All right, we had some highs for Michigan athletics this past weekend, but we do have to talk about that little bit of a lackluster of a Super Bowl. Yeah,
it was the most boring thing I've ever seen. It is by far the most boring Super Bowl I've watched in years. I mean, only field goals in the first half. The Patriots could get nothing going. I mean, obviously I feel a little bit for Drake May, not a big Drake May fan.
For sure.
I mean, but still an incredible accomplishment for reaching the Super Bowl in his 2nd season. I mean, we still got to give him the credit where it's due.
Right, especially at such a young age. And I, as a Bills fan, I really didn't until the outcome of this game have a lot of empathy for him. He's not my favorite player just for that rivalry aspect, you could say, but I do think he has a lot of talent. I do think he's a great player, but I kind of anticipated for this to be a game where he either really showed his talent and really there were a lot of people, to be fair, prior to this game that were like, why did he not get MVP? Right. I think all those rumblings kind of got shut down, and Matthew Stafford rightfully earned it. But I did think it was either going to be a showcase of that or show that he maybe wasn't ready for this stage yet. And I do think he is ready for this stage, but he didn't really have the assets to help him. I think he was lacking with obviously his offensive line, but didn't really have much help there. And then you also have the Seahawks defense playing just phenomenal. They were great. And
a big shout out to AJ Barner for getting that touchdown.
Yes.
Former Michigan Wolverine, gotta shout him out. But besides the Super Bowl, we have some very exciting Michigan athletic news. I mean, the men's basketball team, absolutely on fire as we get closer to March. I mean, they are back to blowing teams out. There was a little bit of a disconnect a little bit back in January, but they are back to being on fire, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do against Northwestern, UCLA, and a big matchup against Duke in about 2 weeks. That'll be super exciting.
I know, I'm excited. Shameless plug, but Wolf TV's very own Zach Warshaw and myself will be covering that game, so that'll be very exciting.
And I will be in attendance.
Wait to be there. So there you go. Look for all of
our
us
host
there.
will be there.
Shameless self-plug. But I'm very excited because all those games leading up to March, we know it, best month of the year, March Madness. So
Absolutely.
excited for it. Every year I'm excited for it. But genuinely, obviously as a biased Michigan fan myself, same for you,
Yep.
you got to make your Michigan bracket regardless of how awful we are.
Right.
But this year, I genuinely believe that
This
this will be the year that my bracket for Michigan could be my most accurate bracket. And I'm
Yes.
so excited about that.
Give me Michigan to win it all.
For real. I literally could not agree more. That'll be all for this week's episode of Wolf TV SportsCenter. I'm Gabby Miller.
And I'm Audrey Setnar.
Who's got it better than us?
Nobody.